It seems to me everybody wants healthy children. And healthy seems to be considered social children with a moral core and an identity core. Children who help others, who settle conflicts, who also know how to defend themselves, but only against this very small percentage of real evil people, so they might learn self-defense techniques or concepts to what to do if they are engaged in the wrong way. But other than that, they are supposed, and I see this everywhere, parents teach it to the children, kindergarten and schools. Everybody tries to create social, open-minded, sharing, caring, sensitive, communicative children. Yet in their private lives, the parents, the teachers, the grown-up world, in very many cases acts completely differently. But they most of the time hide it from their children. Yet everybody teaches their children this social way of living, this what creates an identity core and a moral core. An identity core is created through loving experiences and positive childhood memories, which tell the child who it is. It is the memories that are formed in a loving experience. The child feels seen and loved, recognized, supported, safe, protected. And this creates memories, and these memories are the identity. The child also learns to distinguish. Because first, for the child, everything is fantasy. Everything that happens is fantasy. And it learns language to explain why it does what it does. The child does not learn to do what it is supposed to do. So you don't tell the child, do this, or the child does not tell itself based on moral understanding or any form of understanding, I am gonna do this and then it's gonna do it. No, the child does what it does. It's a fantasy. Everything is fantasy for the child. The whole world is fantasy. And then it learns the externality and the difference of reality, concepts like reality and truth. And it learns to tell them apart through the feedback of caregivers. So let's say the child does something, and then the behavior is in some way not, it's the caregivers, the caretakers are not, don't agree with the behavior. It could be they don't eat everything on the table. It could be anything else. And then they ask, why don't you eat this? Or why do you do this? And then the child comes up with a fantastic story why it doesn't do it, because its brain is very intelligent and it sees everything as a fantasy. So it says, I do it because XYZ, some fantastic story. And for a grown-up, this looks like a lie. The child is lying because it's confabulating. It's fantastic. In its fantastic life, it tells a true story, but it's not true. It's not true because the grown-up people know what is reality. They know what is an internal object, what is an external object, what is true and what is not true. True is what you can prove or what cannot be disapproved, and so on. So, through feedback, the child learns, oh, it's not all fantasy. There is a consensus in the world about concepts like reality and truth. So it learns boundaries. It learns this is falsehood. Is considered a lie because it's simply my fantasy that I'm telling, and the truth is different. So it has to learn about truth and reality, and this creates and feedback about emotions of others. When the child hurts someone, when it makes a mistake, when it disappoints, when it does something wrong, it gets a feedback, and then it will feel ashamed. It will go through feelings of shame. It and then it learns how it feels to have a bad conscience, to feel ashamed, to feel sorry. And this creates a moral core, an inner compass. The child will start, if this works well, the child will start to do good, right things because it does not want to feel ashamed and have a bad conscience. And there is also positive motivations like doing things for love and connection to everybody. It feels seen and loved by caregivers, therefore it treats other with care and love as well. So this is a positive motivator. Plus the moral compass it can develop. And it seems that all parents and all the educational system wants to have children and human beings like that, who are sensitive but emotionally regulated, who can communicate um, outward what they want, who they are, but also to understand who others are and what others want, and then have a ability to find a synthesis in this, to solve this conflict. There is others, they have a selfhood, they have an external reality, and I also have my selfhood and my own interests and my internal reality. There might be some collisions, but in most times there's a solution. We might even be able to benefit from each other, etc. And all of these abilities to bring all of this together, everybody seems to want this. Yet people don't act like this. The grown up world is not acting based on this. I think we have two options basically, bluntly speaking. Either we 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 shape our child into a narcissist or a psychopath, and it will later not fall for narcissist or psychopath, or it might even function in a way that is in some way adapted to our society today. Or we shape our child in this social, healthy individual with a moral core, with an identity core, with reality testing. These are things that a narcissist and a psychopath lacks, at least partially. Some have, the psychopath has real functioning reality testing, but not an identity core, not a moral core. No, no, the psychopath has absolutely no bad conscience, no feelings of shame or guilt or remorse or something. So if we have shaped these children into healthy human beings with all these human traits, they will fall prey in their life. They will be disappointed and probably taken advantage of by these predatory personalities. Yet still we seem to aim for exactly that we want these kind of children, this social cohesion, this we still want that, even though I feel like our society is, the head, the grown up head of our society, the grown up people, are already becoming more and more narcissistic and psychopathic and soulless, but we still try to make soulful, loving, understanding children, which is no question. I think this is the right approach to hold on to this human core that we have. But I see this big difference in where the world is going, what decisions the grown up world makes for themselves and for others, and what they teach to their children. I also feel like that in this self help um, industry, in the in these communities, in the psychological coaching area, everybody seems to start speaking now about be more selfish, be more self-centered, don't be too empathetic to other people, be more bold, be more emotionally detached, which are all narcissistic and psychopathic traits. So in short, be more narcissistic and psychopathic. Um, And many people do this also as a reaction to coming in contact with these self absorbed, goal oriented, unempathetic personalities. It's also like the stoicism. It's like these men who then think, oh, now I'm so cold and so hard and stoic, and nobody can move me anymore. I will never fall in love again. And now I'm this super tough guy. All of this is I think a detachment of the human nature. Um, so maybe this is also a trap. It's maybe the wrong way to say we have to become more selfish, more narcissistic and psychopathic. It might be the wrong way. Maybe we have blindly to try to pursue the ideal to stay human in another way. However, there was one more thing I wanted to say. Yeah, one more observation that I made is, by the way, first, I think maybe the next big thing in the narcissistic awareness community is the covert high functioning psychopath, which I think is often mistaken. We think everybody who is a predatory personality is a narcissist. I find it very interesting how borderline and psychopath are in some way probably close together or have an overlap. Like a borderliner can be pushed to be psychopathic, and a psychopath can be pushed to behave like a borderliner in many cases. Um, but what I mean is a personality that is not the typical jail violent, a person in jail who is violent or a serial killer or overtly super criminal person. I mean, just people who you can take, you know them for years, and you just don't figure out that there is, not really, there is not really an identity. there is not really a human core. There is not this core, this caring, invested, and loving core is not there. Um, I mean, people who are highly adaptive, who function very well in society and in many different situations, but and they're not narcissists. They don't have this delusional side. They are not so pervasive, and I can only describe the quality. Narcissists, or rather, shared fantasy space is more unhygienic, more stanchy, passive aggressive, delusional, changing every day. The psychopath is more precise, more like um, like surgical, um, not so pervasive in some way, dangerous in other ways. It's again, it's more intended. It's colder, detacheder, with more intention, more mind behind it, and it's a person that constantly gazes at you, tries to get information, try to read your reactions. And what I have recently observed, this is what I wanted to share, is there is a constant anxiety or fear. And I think this form of psychopathy, of covert psychopathy, which is the high functioning person that sublimates their predatory drives in order to fit in, it's like a pro social psychopath, a communal psychopath, who sublimates their predatory drives in order to fit in as good as they can. They create narrations and facades and images, and this interesting part is when you observe them interacting with you, you see this gaze, how they look at you, try to read your emotions, and when you say no, or you catch them in some way, you don't fall for their gaslighting and control, you see this fear. So I believe this personality style is a compensatory reaction for fear. It is as if the standard, the real underlying, the real underlying thing is anxiety and fear, and as a compensatory mechanism, they have to dominate and win and control. They are people who try to end situations. Um, I would like to keep a situation open, not interfere with it. Just let it develop, let it grow, give it some time. These people always have to measure, to check, to know, to see, to control, and they will end a situation rather than not be able to control it. It's like a person who every day who puts a seed in the earth and every day has to put out the seed and look whether the roots or the sprout is coming, which will at the end kill the seed. It will not be able to grow or become a big tree because they don't have the patience. They have to control it. They have to pick the fruit before it buds. Um, and again, there is this anxiety, this that it's like from the corner of the eyes. Sometimes you see, sometimes it slips, sometimes the mask slips, and you see it. There is a fear of losing the chance, the opportunity. Everything needs to be used. It's like a predator that can't stop trying to gain something out of a situation by freezing, killing, and ending the situation. Everything must be broken down and then used in some ways, like a compulsion to use any chance for having the high ground, for win something, or at least destroy it for everybody. And yeah, this is my new observation of this. It's as if it is a compensatory mechanism for for anxiety, for the fear to miss out something or not control it or not win, not not be on top. And therefore, to to get rid of this fear, this anxiety, they must take over, control, freeze it, kill it, break down, recycle it. Okay? Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting the how the expression of these personality disorders like narcissism and psychopathy are the exact opposite of the underlying dynamic. So the psychopath seems to know no fear, be super bold, defiant, but what lies beyond this is fear, anxiety. And for narcissists, it seems like they think they are godlike, they are they are proud of doing shameful things. They can't do anything wrong. But what lies beyond this is deep shame, deep shame, repressed shame. So it's interesting how they resemble the opposite of what drives them. It's a it's a compensatory mechanism. It's a compensatory mechanism. The personality that we see is a compensation for what they run away from. Enough for today.